Update 1.4 for Zenless Zone 0 is just around the corner, and with it we're going to be getting two brand new S-rank characters. And they are of course Asaba Harumasa and Hoshimi Miyabi. And given how especially important it is in gacha games for you to preserve your resources and invest into the characters, that you not only enjoy their playstyle but also like their look visually, but you should also be mindful of the characters that you are summoning for and understand the exact value that they bring to your account. So in today's video I'm going to be covering both Harumasa and Miyabi, talking about their kits, what you can expect to see from them, how they're going to fit into different teams and how they're going to be changing up the meta, and whether you should be pulling for them or not, depending of course on your account. With that being said, hello everyone, my name is DarkHero and let's get started. And let's start by talking about Miyabi. Hoshimi Miyabi is the leader of the faction Special Operations Section 6. She's going to be an anomaly character, although her element is currently in a little bit of an unknown state, as when you look at the displayed element for Miyabi, you can distinctively identify the ice attribute icon on it, but there seem to be some flames around it, making it a little bit of a different attribute. More likely than not, this is going to affect the way in which Miyabi applies the anomaly effect, likely allowing her to apply some damage off field, but also allowing Miyabi to combine with other anomaly characters to trigger additional anomaly effects. Now, Miyabi being a void hunter, I think it's very safe to assume that Miyabi is going to work primarily as the main on-field DPS, with some fast and flashy combos and high anomaly application, and likely having some way to deal increased damage after triggering an anomaly effect with a different character. That being said, it's important to take into account that whenever Hoyoverse releases a character, they tend to complement that character with the kit of previous characters that they just released. You can think of them releasing characters in a nucleus, where each character in that nucleus is going to complement each other. You can think of how Qingyi perfectly complements Zhuyuan, or how Bernice was released between Jane Doe and Yanagi. So having said that, I think it's safe to assume that Miyabi is not only going to work very well with other anomaly characters, especially ones that can apply multiple anomaly and disorder effects by themselves like Yanagi, but she's also going to work very well with Lighter, which is the character that is currently available in the present banner, as he is a limited S-rank stunner whose job is to increase the crit damage of fire and ice characters on the team. And before Lighter released, whenever we got access to his kit, and I mentioned that given that he is going to boost ice and fire damage, we're likely going to get a character that is from one of those elements, and well, now we have Miyabi just about to be released. Now of course the tricky part here is that Lighter is going to boost specifically crit damage, and all of the anomaly characters so far in Zenless Zone 0 do not appreciate building crit damage. They would much rather focus on building up their anomaly mastery, their anomaly proficiency, and even their attack stat and their pen ratio. But especially given the timing with Lighter having just been released and Hoshimi Miyabi being this legendary character in the universe of Zenless Zone 0, being a void hunter with a special attribute as well, I am honestly pretty inclined into believing that Miyabi is going to be an anomaly character that actually focuses on crit damage, therefore having Lighter would benefit Miyabi as well. So when deciding whether or not to go for Miyabi, you should take into account these things. Do you have characters that are going to help Miyabi perform as optimally as possible? Another stunner that would certainly complement Miyabi very well is going to be the standard character Lycaon, as he is able to effectively increase the damage output of other ice characters on the team. And you can of course also complement that by having the A-rank character Soukaku, which provides you with a significant attack boost as well, on top of also increasing a character's ice damage. So naturally we are drawing a parallel to the mono ice team that was the premium team when Zenless Zone 0 released, with Ellen Jo as the main focus. And maybe you are someone that got Ellen Jo when the game released because you were hyped for the game, you like how she looked, and you really wanted to go for the first limited S-rank character. And sadly the reality of gacha games, and especially Hoyoverse, is that power creep is the thing that ends up happening a lot, and let's be real, Miyabi is very likely going to be outperforming Ellen Jo by quite a bit, though I do believe that Ellen is certainly still going to perform very well, just not at the same level. So if you are someone that has pulled for Ellen Jo, and if you were to be pulling for Miyabi as well, you're essentially going to be double dipping into the ice teams, which can lead you starving for resources whenever the Shield defense or the tower has bosses that are resistant to the ice element, and you may not have characters that can exploit their weakness. Now on the other side of the coin, we have seen that Zenless Zone 0 has been on this anomaly focused meta for a long time now, as in the span of 4 different limited S-rank banners, 3 of them were anomaly units. And I am very confident in saying that Miyabi is going to to be the one that is going to stand at the top. But as I said, I do believe that she is going to work very well with characters like Bernice that can apply the anomaly effect while off-field, or Yanagi that can even trigger her anomaly effect multiple times. And the cool thing about having those other anomaly characters is that depending on the weaknesses of the bosses and whatever they require of you, you can come up with different teams that allow you to use different elements. Like for example, you could have a mono electric team for Yanagi, or a Jane Doe team with Bernice, and then you have a mono ice team with Miyabi. There's a lot of combinations that can happen there, so she is a unit that is not going to be as limited when it comes to options, which is certainly very valuable. Now traditionally in ZZZ, the additional ability of a character tends to require that character to share the same faction with other characters, or have the same elemental attribute as another agent. However, Yanagi has kind of broken the mold for this type of additional ability, as she is the only character currently in Zenless Zone Zero that does not require a character that shares the same faction as her, with Yanagi's case in particular being that she requires having an anomaly character on the team or an electric agent. So it could just be that Miyabi follows the same pattern and her best teams end up being to not play with a single character of the same faction. You know, it's kind of messed up that despite Yanagi being essentially the adoptive mother of Soukaku, they cannot trigger her additional ability. Ultimately, I believe that Miyabi is going to be the new standard for S-rank damage characters, though at this point I am awaiting to see what exactly is the kind of support S-rank character that we might end up seeing in the future, because if we're talking about Hoyoverse, I can guarantee you that they tend to make some busted support characters. But now it's time for us to talk about Harumasa. Asaba Harumasa is the new S-rank limited electric attack agent that is also from the Section 6 faction. And honestly, we don't have a lot of information about this guy, other than the fact that he uses a bow and can split the bow into two different blades, which is honestly pretty cool. Personally, I love his aesthetic. I like that he is the type of lazy character that gets serious when it comes to combat, but likes to avoid all of the boring work. Now, as for how Harumasa is going to work on different teams, I believe he's going to fill the role of a main on-field DPS character, kind of like Ellen Zhou or Zhiyuan, essentially coming in into the team rotation to use his skill for a short while, rotate to a stunner to build up daze, and eventually stun the boss, and that is when you get the big DPS window that Harumasa is going to exploit to deal big damage. Now, the fact that he is an electric agent means that there aren't a ton of characters that can boost his damage output, as the only real dedicated character that can boost electric damage in the entire game is currently Rina, and honestly she's not outright amazing at doing so. You're certainly going to be able to use him with just about any stunner in the game, though characters like Caesar or Qingyi are likely going to be the best for him, and I can totally picture Qingyi being outright the best character to go with Harumasa, as if my suspicions of him being essentially a burst focused DPS character turn out to be true, then he's going to enjoy having a character that is going to greatly increase the damage that you deal while the enemy is stunned, and that is exactly what Qingyi excels at. Caesar is also going to be a very comfortable character, as the shield that Caesar provides allows you to really play without a single worry in the world, so even if you aren't a character like Jane Doe, for example, that has a ton of iframes, you're going to be able to keep up the assault on the enemy without a care in the world. And naturally, the effective damage buff that you gain from having a Caesar on the team is also going to be very beneficial. So in a way, you would essentially be making a Harumasa team, much in the same way that you would be making a mono electric team with Yanagi. Though because you are an attack character, you are a little bit more limited in the amount of units that you can effectively use to get the most out of them. Again, we're really lacking a limited S-rank support character to see what exactly they're going to do, and if we end up getting such a character that is going to simply massively boost the damage of our on-field character, then that could potentially turn Harumasa, or any other attack character for that matter, into a menace. But having said that, given that he is essentially going to be playing the same role as Yanagi whenever she is acting as a main DPS on a team, if you already have her, then I would honestly advise you to skip on Harumasa. And that is especially true if you don't have a good stun character that can help him deal more damage like Caesar or Qingyi, and if you don't have Rina that can also allow him to deal more electric damage. Now, there is a big rumor going around in the community currently that Harumasa is going to be a character that is going to be rewarded to players if Zenless Zone Zero wins the mobile title of the year for the Game Awards show, as a similar thing happened with Honkai Star Rail, where the game was nominated for the best mobile title of the year, and when it ended up winning in the end, Hoyoverse decided to reward players by giving us Dr. Ratio, which was actually a very powerful character at the time, and remains a very good character to this day. At the time of me recording this, we currently don't know exactly exactly what are the dates for when we're going to be getting the 1.4 livestream, but we're going to be getting more details about both Miyabi and Harumasa there, and we might also be getting some information about rerun banners, because both Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail had their very first rerun banner when update 1.4 first released, so it is likely that players are going to be able to summon for Ellen in case they missed her. Now Hoyoverse could actually also see this as an opportunity to not rerun Ellen and instead rerun Zhuyuan, for example, because let's be real, Ellen and Miyabi would be competing for a main field ice DPS character, and I think it would be best for Hoyoverse to have a character of a different element so that players would be more incentivized to summon on both banners. And especially with Ether being such a limited attribute at the current moment, with the only 2 Ether characters in the game being Zhuyuan and Nicole, I can totally see Hoyoverse doing this. But that is how they get you. Again, gacha games as always are all about smart resource investment and trying not to fall prey to every single predatory mechanic that they have, while still enjoying the game with some of your favorite characters. With that being said, let me know which character you're going to be summoning for, and even though I have Ellen Jo, I am definitely going for Miyabi, because after watching that cutscene, I just could not skip her. And with that, if you found this video helpful, then please subscribe to the channel, as it does help me out a lot. My name is DarkHero, and thank you all so much for watching.